Following the recent referendum and updated guidelines from the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, both the Select Board and the Planning Board decided on Tuesday, January 21st, to advance only the base compliance plan to town meeting. This plan is meant to bring Needham back into compliance with the MBTA Communities law. With the new deadline extended to July 14th, the Select Board canceled the special town meeting originally scheduled for late February. Instead, the matter will be addressed at the annual town meeting in May. However, some residents pushed for an earlier vote, citing divisions within the community and a lack of trust in local government. Municipal producer Yushao Yuan reports.
While Tuesday's Select Board meeting did not include a public hearing on this issue, 8 residents signed up to speak during the public comment period. Due to time constraints, 6 people shared their thoughts, urging the town not to delay the vote.
Sending the base plan to a special town meeting immediately and without delay will go a long way in healing the division in our town and repairing the distrust that so many unfortunately have in our elected officials.
Delaying the vote on the base plan is just too risky given the division in Needham, the potential for loss of funding opportunities that was mentioned in great detail by the folks who were advocating for the neighborhood plan.
Under the new guidelines, Needham must submit an action plan by February 13 to maintain interim compliance until town meeting approves zoning by the July deadline. The Select Board voted to send the base compliance plan to the state immediately for this purpose.
And that would eliminate the funds at risk unless we missed the July deadline. So, the funding at risk element goes away upon HLC's approval of our action plan.
Board members agreed only the base compliance plan should be brought to town meeting, given the clear outcome of the referendum. With a 2,000 vote margin, the result reflected strong opposition to the neighborhood plan and the idea of exceeding the state's minimum requirements. However, the timing of the vote sparked debate. Board member Josh Levy supported holding a special town meeting in February.
While it's in the oven, there's that angst that just keeps boiling, and I think that that's detrimental.
Other members argued this was unnecessary, noting the special town meeting had been scheduled before the new guidelines were announced and no longer served an urgent purpose.
Having it happen in the regular course of events when people are expecting to be there and have cleared their calendar is important. We know that the date that we talked about for February was immediately after February vacation. It was a crazy time as families are trying to re-enter. We have other members of our community who are away at that time of the year, frequently, who are town meeting members. I just think it's in the interest of everybody to have the most people available and to do that in May and to be very clear about what is being recommended, and that is the base plan.
Government should be responsible, considered, and measured. And I think we will do that. We're going to do the base plan, and I think we go with the existing structure of having town meeting in May, the annual town meeting.
Some board members responded to the perceived distrust in local government, evident in resident comments pushing for an earlier vote.
I hear that there's distrust. I'm not sure that I understand why, given that the system, it seems to me, has worked exactly the way it was supposed to. We went through this process. People felt that they didn't like the outcome, and so they challenged it. We went through that process, and that we have now a verdict. The verdict is that we're going to submit a compliance plan, but there is no need to rush because the reason we were rushing has changed.
I think if people are looking for a commitment to following the base plan, I think by submitting a plan to the state and by putting it in the warrant, we will be committing.
Levy also raised the possibility of amendments being introduced on the town meeting floor.
And if we have it in February, then we can deal with those amendments, and we have time to deal with them. If there are amendments in May, we don't have time to deal with them.
Other members were less concerned, noting that not only had town meeting unanimously approved the base compliance plan in October, but it would also be nearly impossible for an individual town meeting member to bring an intricate zoning article to the floor, as it is typically drafted through the planning board's months-long process.
I can't envision a scenario at town meeting where a credible person would get up and say, I have a brilliant amendment I'd like to make, without being laughed out and shut it down.
Board members also share differing opinions on whether the contradictory results of the town meeting vote and the referendum indicated flaws in Needham's planning process. At the start of the discussion, Levy read a prepared statement calling for the Select Board to reflect on its governance approach.
I also suggest that the Select Board conduct a post-incident review to develop specific practices of good governance in order to prevent similar controversies from boiling over in the future.
Despite the outcome here, this was acknowledged to be one of the most transparent processes in Needham's recent history. And we utilized every resource at our disposal. So I would be interested to look at this again and to say, like, okay, we thought we did everything. So what else is there to do? I don't think that we can say that because there was acrimony, the process didn't work. But I would be interested in how it could work better next time.
There's nothing wrong with disagreeing. And I think, oddly as messy as the process was, the process worked. It was a lot of people, a lot of vitriol, but it's okay to disagree.
About an hour after the Select Board vote, the Planning Board also voted to bring the base compliance plan to town meeting, though the Planning Board must hold a public hearing before officially recommending the article. This hearing is scheduled for Thursday, February 13th. For Needham Channel News, I'm Yu Xiaoyuan.